Hi, this is part two of what my life is learning. As you can see, my cat is back behind me. But basically, we can start with childhood and everything and stuff. But it's going to be vague because a lot of things can hurt a lot of people, and I just want to vent and get out what basically was the gist of it. Maybe if people understand how I was brought up and how I'm trying to turn it around, that they'd understand and try to maybe not see what's out in the cover, but what's actually underneath the cover. And I figured, let me start with one of my baby pictures because it's part of the thing too, because I found these in the garbage. My mother threw these out because she felt that they weren't a good copy and everything, and I didn't realize, I just grabbed them as fast as I could. So this is one of my baby pictures and everything, and it's me, if you could see it and everything. I actually had red hair. It seems that my hair fell out at 6 months and came in blonde, white blonde. I don't have any pictures of that because my mother has all my pictures hostage. But if you are my Facebook friends, you have seen the pictures that I did rescue and everything. But I had to give them back in a trade-off and everything. That's the problem you deal with a manic. You have to pick and choose your battles. And most people don't understand that growing up like that, you had to pick and choose your battles. Otherwise, you couldn't survive in that house. You didn't lie, you didn't cheat or anything. Because God forbid you did that. That was worse. Especially with my dad being military and stuff. You never did that. So you had to really know where everything was. And basically it's like, unless you live it, you won't know. You really won't know. But as you can see from my baby pictures, I also have my little anime. My favorite anime is actually Witch Hunter Robin. And also Tsubasa, or actually Cardcaptor Sakura. And everything, because I felt it was the cutest thing. But I have other favorites too, but that's later on and everything, because that what actually led me up to where I met even more and beautiful friends and everything. So you figure, what I can really remember is when I was little is that we did go to parties, we did go to, my mother and father would always take us to places, well, mostly me because my sister wasn't born yet. So I remember all these things, learning how to play pool, pinball and everything at a cabin in Bear Mountain. I mean, I had a really nice childhood. But until things started getting crazy and stuff, it was more like we'd go places and everything, and then, but I'd still be pawned off on a relative because my dad had to work. Mom never really raised me and everything, and nobody understands that because nobody wants to remember it, or they forgot, or my mother won't admit it. So you figure I had other influences in my life. Come on, think about it. At 2 years old, learning to play pool and pinball and stuff. Come on. Alright, 2, 3 years old. I had fun and everything, learning stuff, doing things and everything. But all I can really remember is that my Nana and Shay moved away when I was 6, when I started school. I don't really remember my first grade or anything because I was picked on because my mom worked in the school. I was bullied, I was beat up and everything. And that's just first grade, by the way. So you block that out. But I did have a good friend and everything. She was in 2nd grade. Come 2nd grade, she had gotten left back, so she was in my class. I said, good, and everything. No, she died of an asthma medication overdose at 8 years old. The last time I saw her, she was at my desk. And I didn't see her after that. And that 7 year was bad for me because we had a lot of deaths in the family. My grandfather, my best friend, my uncle's godbrother. I've been to funerals since I could walk. I never had color clothing in my closet, basically, is the joke. Because it was always a school, Catholic, like they say, a Catholic schoolgirl never has any clothes. It's true. My dad raised me to be a tomboy. My sister's the girly girl. Alright? I love being the tomboy. I got to play baseball, I got to do everything when he could take us out. So through all the chaos and everything, at least I got to do things. But here comes Christmas, because my mother had this thing that everything had to be the same. We didn't have an identity. Every toy, because she didn't want us to fight. That's not a good thing when you're growing up. When you're a tomboy and your sister's a princess. I wanted the blue BMX bike. I wanted that. I got a pink bike. Okay? I wanted baseball bats, video games, everything and stuff. And no, my mother gives me makeup to play with. Granted, I liked my Cabbage Patch dolls. I like everything. I mean, I wasn't that much of a tomboy and I wasn't that much of a girly girl, But there are times when I have an identity and it basically wasn't being nourished or anything. It wasn't until my uncle nourished it with the sci-fi and everything and stuff. Or like PBS when they showed, oh my god, and I thank God for this because I get always every quiz on this, Sarah Jane Smith, because Doctor Who and Dark Shadows was on PBS all the time. It's the only channels I ever watched. 321 Contact. I was more of the science, geeky type. Sarah Jane Smith, Elizabeth Sladen, she's the reason I got into math and science, because at the time I grew up in the 80s, girls were not supposed to be in math and science and everything. And to see that she was traveling, she was doing this stuff, it just inspired me, right? It's sad that she passed away of cancer and everything, but you know what? That's a person who inspires somebody to hang on when there's chaos in your life. And people think it's crazy like that, but it's not. Because I was straight A's in math and science. You couldn't get me out of a library. You couldn't get me out of Barnes and Nobles. You couldn't. I loved reading. I mean, I have books and everything and stuff and all that. But that was almost like hard to do in my house, because it was, come do this for me now. Do this now. Pick this up. Do this. Don't disturb your sister. Don't do. To hear constant negativity and not be able to go anything because my mother was so paranoid. People were out to take me away and everything, that I couldn't hang out with friends. So they're out to hurt me. Friends are going to hurt you. They're not your friends. They always are going to hurt you. You grew up hearing that. You don't know what the hell to believe and everything. So your trust issues are bad. Your everything. You're trying to figure out who you are at the same time somebody's putting their insecurities onto you. And you're trying to fight and nobody's getting it. I mean, I got yelled at because I watched cartoons at the age when kids were supposed to watch cartoons. Okay? My mother made our room yellow because she made it the daughter be smarter. No cartoony characters. Like, everything had to be her way or no way. And my dad didn't realize what was going on because he thought that's the way you raise a child and everything. Plus, he's military. Unless you can carry it on your back, you don't need it. Right? So I basically grew up very sheltered, very whatever, and not a fighter, because if you tried to fight, it was worse. You just learned how to pick and choose your battles and pray you didn't get hit, which I'm not saying she hit. We can plead the fifth on that one, because she'll deny anything, but we're pleading the fifth on the hitting. Okay? Friends know what happened. Just giving that. Okay? Because this is the only way I can, because I wanted to write this all out. So like I said, childhood, interesting. I'd have to learn to duck when I woke mommy up to take us to school and everything, all that. We go to school, she'd be in the school. She'd be hovering over me so much that I will never hover over anybody because of that, even when I was a trainer in my jobs. Because you know what it's like to have somebody hover and cling over you? It's not fun. That's why I'm an odd girl when it comes to guys. So you figure, all through from age 7 till I don't even remember. I can't, because it's part of childhood too, because I was stuck there till I was 29. And if my grandmother and my nana didn't pass and give me the strength, I would have stayed there and took the abuse, because it was abuse. It was verbal and mental abuse. And she doesn't want, she'd blame my dad for it. She'd be like, yeah, my dad yelled at me. My dad was a disciplinarian. My dad was strict. And I thank God he was strict, because you know what? It made me the person I am today. He wasn't that strict with my sister, because there's a phone number now you can call if your parents are going to hit you. Alright? If he was that strict with my sister, she'd be a lot different than she is now. But my childhood was basically learn to hide, learn to duck, and anticipate the next person's move, because otherwise, you did not want to be there and everything. So I'm really like trying to figure this out and everything, trying to figure out my life, trying to do everything. Relatives, we're not even seeing relatives. She made sure we didn't see our relatives. If it wasn't for my dad taking me to my nana's, I would never know about my cousins and everything, or see anything, because I don't even know my mom's side that well because of what she did from age 7 till 29. Okay? I literally, 2nd grade, don't really remember anything because of all the deaths. 3rd grade, I got the glasses and everything. And 4th grade, I had a really good teacher till she went nuts as a nun in my 6th, was she 6th grade, 7th grade? I gotta remember that. 5th grade, I had a teacher that couldn't teach and everything. Come 6th grade, there was problems with me reading and writing because I didn't have the structure. I read my mother's shorthand book, so I was writing shorthand. I would do reading because nobody would teach me. All right? I was gifted and everything because I found out later I really was gifted because in 6th grade I was diagnosed with dyslexia with an IQ of 200 plus because the computer couldn't register more than that. And I have gifted intelligence. That's why nobody spotted that I could compensate and everything, and that I was getting everything. The only clue was my spelling, that I was getting zeros in spelling because I couldn't spell. It wasn't that I couldn't spell, I was spelling phonetically because all I read was a dictionary. And I would hear it, what it sounded like. So imagine growing up with a manic depressive mother and she's already hovering over that. Now you're diagnosed with dyslexia. Forget it. It's hell on wheels, basically. Was not even out of her sight. I couldn't even study. I couldn't even do anything. Okay? And the same thing. There were no friends over. No friends came over. I had no friends. I had friends, but they were called school friends, as somebody put it to me. Because my mother would not let anybody over. Wait, it gets better because later on, because my sister was the outgoing, the one that she never put the reins on, she was allowed to have friends over. I wasn't. Because she couldn't handle both of us having friends. This is where it comes with a manic, okay? So, like again, I'm looking at the time right now to make sure I don't want these to go over and everything because I really want to get into the fact about my dyslexia. And these are just the short versions because I will go back and forth and everything. It's just that I'm trying to get these so that YouTube doesn't cancel these because I really want you guys to understand what my life has been like because there's a lot of good things that have happened now. And a lot of bad things. And I figure, you know what? This is 2012. If I don't do this now, it's not going to get out. And I'm going to have this all stuck inside me, regretting the fact that I never got this out. Alright? So basically, I gave you the short version of like my childhood because if I give you the full details, I can get in a hell of a lot of trouble with a lot of family members and everything because either they'll deny it, they'll forget about it, or I'll have my mother knocking on my door. Alright? But now we're at the point where I'm talking about the dyslexia because it also relates to my childhood and everything. So it is going to tie in. Alright? So this is the end of part 2 and everything. And part 3 will be coming up. And this is where I talk about 6th grade, dyslexia, departmental, how everything relates to 2nd grade, all this stuff and everything, how things change, and what my mother didn't do to me about school and everything too, because this was another thing. Alright, but these are the short versions. My friends know the full versions, but I just wanted short versions for you. And if anybody does want to write a book about this, I can fill in the rest of it. Alright? But it's going to get longer. It's just that I want to watch the time so I don't mess up for YouTube. Alright? So this is the end of part 2, and part 3 will be next. Okay? Bye.